A security guard tasked with a simple job of only letting the employees of Nova Nexus enter the facilities slowly uncovers the malpractice and horrible events which led to a tragedy, claiming the lives of many employees, which leads to him get a visit from death himself.
Emergency. Emergency. Lockdown system activated. Security weapons activated. Oxygen levels reducing. Your families will be informed of your death.
Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator, and welcome to a story which questions the ethics and morals in mega corporate organizations who can easily risk the lives of many due to malpractice and disregard to human life in workplace. If you want games like this explained in the next videos, make sure to send your request on Twitter, which I could find easier. This video will have spoilers. With that said, let's begin. Working another long, tedious night in security booth, date being 9th of July 1996, the protagonist looks at his job instructions for the night to ensure he carries out the tasks as required. The job requirement is quite straightforward, with the security guard tasked to check each car's license plate to make sure that they are on the list for tonight. The security guard is also tasked to ensure not only the car is on the list, but the driver or the people within the car work in the company called Nova Nexus before opening the gate for them. Talking to the people within the car, if anyone is not an employee, they must be refused entry and asked to leave. Seemingly being a simple enough task, the first car of the night approaches the gate with the security checking their plate number against the list, letting them go through. The next couple of cars approach the gate with the security, letting them go through as well, repeating the same tedious task. As the next car approaches, with the protagonist exiting his booth to check the license plate, he notices a note stuck to the outside wall of the gate, something that wasn't there before, having had just suddenly appeared, with the protagonist not seeing anyone nearby to stick it there. Picking up the note, it's dated a month prior, 12th of June 1996, entailing obscured information about a sketchy experiment which resulted in a few accidents, killing someone called Natasha, something whoever conducted or organized, thinking it to be a necessity in the grand scheme of things and for achieving their goals. After a while, with no car approaching the gate, the protagonist starts to drift away slowly, when he is suddenly startled by the telephone ringing. Picking up the telephone, he hears a message being repeated, reading out an error code 050477, which confuses the security, thinking to what the message means, as this was not part of his tasks tonight, and something which didn't clearly indicate what it means or requires from the protagonist. After some more time, waiting for more cars to approach the gate, a suspicious-looking car pulls over far from the gate and the security booth, with the person getting out of their car and staring at the security man intently, not letting their gaze be interrupted. After letting a car go through the gate, the mysterious person obscured by darkness gets back in their car and drives off, making the security man get uncomfortable, starting to get paranoid and overthink to who this person might have been. As time goes on, with the security man not having any car to let in, with time going past midnight, the protagonist starts to forget about this strange encounter he just had, starting to let it go when he hears terrifying knocks on his booth's window, making him jump from his seat, not seeing anyone around. Confused to what he just heard was whether real or just his own imagination, he becomes more alert, inspecting his surroundings when a loud bang is heard in the distance, as if some sort of explosion just took place. Another note stuck to his booth, dated 16th of June 1996, reads out a sketchy journal entry with many parts redacted, talking about tests and completing something. The telephone then suddenly rings, with a robotic voice repeating the same line, talking about a system failure.
Failure. System failure. System failure.
Loud banging bass noises are then heard in the distance, with a blue car resembling the one that was observing the protagonist approaches the gate, claiming they are new to Nova Nexus, wanting to enter the headquarters. The license plate is DE4T93, or in other words, Death 93, which the protagonist doesn't think of much in the beginning. Checking the plate number against the list, he notices it's not mentioned, which leaves him with no other option than to refuse the entry. The telephone rings once more, with the protagonist picking it up, hearing ambient sounds and creepy sounds, with no one making any intelligible sounds, as if someone or some people are in pain behind the line. This starts to slowly creep out the security man, who questions who could have made this call. Trying to stay optimistic, he dismisses it as a prank call and gets back to his work. Suddenly, a bloody handprint appears on the front window with a tapping sound heard, as if an invisible person just slapped their bloody hand on the window. This makes the protagonist jump off his seat, confused to how something like this would be possible. Another note then appears on the lamppost on the left, which is dated 24th of June 1996, reading out about someone how they disagree with the tests of the director, and that they even have plans of killing the director if he continues on his tests. Soon, another car approaches the gate with a license plate of RE8031, linked with an employee called Natasha Singh. Talking to the driver, they make unintelligible sounds, slightly resembling the sounds of the words, "Help me." That's when the telephone starts ringing again, with someone in a creepy whisper tone asking the protagonist to help them. When the line is dropped, the car disappears with no sign of them ever being here, with the protagonist starting to question his own sanity. The telephone rings once more, speaking with an automated voice about an emergency lockdown and how the families of the deceased will be informed of their death, making it seem like a surreal fever dream, with the security man unsure whether he's awake or asleep at this point.
Emergency. Emergency. Lockdown system activated. Security weapons activated. Oxygen levels reducing. Your families will be informed of your death. Emergency. Emergency.
More notes appear stuck on the outside fence, dated 2nd of July 1996 and 5th of July 1996. The first note shows the excitement of the writer on how an experiment is to go ahead and how it will change the world for the better. Second note reads on how the experiment is scheduled to take place after the weekend, with everything progressing as planned as long as the rare and uncommon error 050477 doesn't occur, the same strange error code read to the security man through the telephone.
4, 7, 7. Error code.
Strange sounds are then heard reminiscent of Geiger counter sounds, detecting and measuring radioactivity, as if something is radioactive nearby. That's when a car starts honking their horn, wanting to exit Nova Nexus through the exit gate. Checking the plate number, it seems to belong to someone called Nina Klaus, an employee listed in the book. Opening the exit gate for the car, being very impatient to leave, it slowly pulls next to the booth and comes to a full stop. The security man, confused to why the car stopped, goes out to check on it when a red car drops from the sky on top of it, destroying it and presumably killing both the protagonist and the driver in the car. Ending number 2 can be achieved if the protagonist lets the car with the strange plate number enter the facilities, the license number of DE4T93 or Death 93. After the car enters the facilities and the last car that suddenly disappears asking the protagonist for help, an emergency siren is heard coming from the Nova Nexus, which causes a massive black explosion, taking over a large area, killing the security man with it. Subsequently, a series of telephones appear, all ringing in a pitch-black room when the story comes to an abrupt end. The endings are left for personal interpretation to some degree, which follows a linear story with the evidence provided. Reading the notes, it's evident that an experiment was to take place, with a few accidents having had taken place, with someone called Natasha dying the week prior to 12th of June 1996. Natasha is of course the last car that disappears, begging the security man for help. Whoever was writing the letters was pressuring the director to conduct the experiment faster, despite it not being fully ready. As the director was still running tests to ensure the safety of the experiment, he or she becomes pressured heavily, even seemingly with death threats, making the director give a green light to the experiment. The writer seems to be the head of the company, pressuring the director to conduct an unprepared experiment, asking many employees to get in the facilities late at night. People such as Ellen Brown, having the red car, who says she wanted to be home playing video games but was asked to go to work, and many more. Everyone who entered the facilities this night. As the last letter of the writer, written on 5th of July, indicated that the experiment is to be conducted after the weekend, it portrays how the security man working a late shift on 9th of July is another victim of this experiment which killed many. The experiment seems to be a sort of radioactive experiment, hinted out with Geiger counter being heard, loud bass bangs, and the final explosion which destroys the organization and the surrounding area. The multiple telephones appearing in ending number 2 portray how many families were called to inform them about the accident, causing the death of the employees at Nova Nexus, including the security man who lost his life that night, ridden by guilt that he was the one who let the victims in, somehow contributing to their deaths.
Emergency. Emergency. Lockdown system activated. Security weapons activated. Oxygen levels reducing. Your families will be informed of your death.
Ending number 1 is more convoluted, however, which takes place when the security man refuses death from driving into the facility, with the plate number reading out death 93, which leads to Nina Klaus trying to rush out of the facilities, but ultimately meeting her demise by a car falling on top of hers. This might indicate that Nina was the founder of the place who pressured the director into performing the experiment, but as the security man stopped death from entering the facilities, he prevented the experiment from being conducted, saving many lives. This, however, doesn't stop the fate of Nina Klaus, who gets a car falling from the sky just intended for her. This might represent a car crash that she had, leading to her death, instead of death targeting the facility employees, targeting Nina Klaus, ending her life, and as the result, stopping a tragedy. So maybe the security man represents the director in this scenario as well, who decided who lives and who dies, making the final decision of whether letting death in or not, embodied in the experiment he knew is not ready to be conducted. Therefore, the security man, in theory, is the director who could resist the demands of Nina Klaus and save the employees' lives, and prevent many families from receiving the tragic news of their family members having died in an explosion through the telephones depicted at the very end. That is it for the end of this video, folks. If you enjoyed it, why don't you hang around by watching plenty more that is already available on the channel, and plenty that is to come in the future. It's been your host Star, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.